Howard County 3-19. This is the bill on impact fees and delegate Asbury.
So, no, I have something to say.
There you go.
So, this issue, we've been talking about it for likely well over a year, even when everyone here was not a member of this body, but was running for office, because I'm sure everybody can remember being asked about it on various questionnaires. I just want to remind everybody that PTAC supports this piece of legislation, which is all of the PTAs in all of the schools in the county. The school board supports this piece of legislation, and I just think it's critical that we get this done. I don't know if other members of this body are being contacted as frequently as I am, but I am, and it's a serious issue, and I don't feel that way just as a legislator. I feel that way as a parent and a mother with somebody in the school system, two kids and one going to the school system. We just heard a briefing, which you should have heard for your second time, because we heard it during our fiscal briefing. We've got the largest enrollment of students in the state, larger than the increase in local wealth. 3.4% of those students are increasing in terms of being on free and reduced meals. So the point of this legislation and the intent of it from its sponsor, which is myself, was not for it to be an omnibus bill, which everyone keeps trying to make it. We want to deal with transfer taxes. We want to deal with this issue. We want to deal with that issue. This is not one large piece of legislation to solve the entire problem that the superintendent has put forth in terms of needing $2 billion and some odd dollars to help our schools out. This was intended to be a small piece of the puzzle. Just as we have multiple bills related to the superintendent, I have one, Delegate Ebersol has one, and Delegate Miller has one. So, you know, sometimes that's what we do here. We solve the puzzle with multiple bills. Sometimes we do large omnibus bills, like those of you who were here when we did justice reinvestment. That was one large, huge, sweeping change that we did in the criminal justice system. That was not my intent with this bill, and that is not my intent moving forward. I also believe that because we've had such a long time to deal with this, everybody here has had significant time to contact any council person they want to contact the county executive if they want to contact them, to gather more information, because people have come to me as early as this morning and said, have you talked to this person, have you talked to that person? And what I would suggest is that we are all elected to make decisions, whether you vote the bill up or down. We were all elected to make a decision at the state level to create policy, not at the county level, and I'll just leave it at that. That's kind of been something new we've been doing here this year, is asking for a variety of opinions, which is kind of troubling, quite frankly. So, my esteemed senator we spoke this morning, and he did bring an interesting idea to me this morning, which I'm willing to think about for one more week, to hold the bill, to think about doing how some counties do it in terms of at a graduated level, so that some square footage homes have one fee and some square footage homes have another fee. DLS sent me, and I'm going to thank this gentleman in person today, because I want to thank our council for doing some amendments for me at the last minute last night. And I also, DLS, even though they're dealing with significant fiscal notes, took the time late last night to get me some information that I saw at 2 o'clock this morning, that this would add, if we took it to, which was proposed, $6, the impact fee, if you have a 1,500 square foot home, it would add about $7,000. If you have a 2,000 square foot home, it would add about $9,000 to the house. And if you have a 2,500 square foot home, it would add about $15,000. There were some other numbers being suggested, and that is what DLS proposed to me. So I'm willing to hold this. for one more week. Next week, I will absolutely press a vote on this, and everybody can vote how they would like to vote on it. But our community wants an answer, and we need to give the community that answer. And I want an answer, quite frankly, because we've held this for over a month.
Senator Bennett.
Look, we went down this path and had a big meeting, a day long, half day long thing. To think, and as much as I agree with some of the sentiments that Delegate Atterbury brought forward, and I also agree that I think all of us, as I've been saying all along, are intent on passing a bill. All along. There are so many moving parts in this world. People who've been on the council, who've been in county government, recognize that that there are so many pieces to get this right. And we got a chance to get it right. And I want to thank you, Delegate, for letting us have another week to think about this and work on some of the components of it and get it right. Unfortunately, the PowerPoints in all of this are in different places, right, to get the whole picture right. The county executive has some powers in this, the delegation has some powers, the school board has some powers, the county council has some powers. And so trying to coordinate in a logical sense to do and to achieve policy goals that I think we all care about. You don't want housing to be overly expensive, especially at the lower end for people. We want the housing to, though, pay for what we need in our services. And we want our citizens to realize that they have to pay. You know, we threw that $2 billion out there. I don't know who's agreed to that $2 billion yet. Have we agreed to all of those different components? And I don't know that we have, but I think everybody's trying to work towards finding the best solution to keep the community in a better light and to get the resources that we need. This is not easy. To believe that it is just, I think, not correct. And we're working very hard. I think everyone is working very hard to try to get it as right as possible. And even right as possible isn't going to be perfect. And I recognize that.